Women, by nature, are often skilled at hiding their true emotions, especially in romantic settings. One of the most common emotions that women try to conceal is uncertainty. Whether it's about the stability of a relationship, the intentions of a man, or even how she truly feels about the connection, uncertainty lingers beneath the surface. But here's the catch. Despite their best efforts, uncertainty is nearly impossible to hide, especially when a man remains calm, grounded, and intentional in his presence. A man who is not rushing to prove his worth, who isn't desperately trying to ease her doubts with empty words, becomes an anchor. The more he is secure in himself, the more her uncertainty becomes visible. This is the foundation of emotional connection, understanding that her uncertainty exists, but not rushing to fix it. When a man masters the art of remaining calm and composed, he gives her the space to feel her emotions without adding to the noise. She might not admit it, but the calmness of a man acts as a mirror that reflects back her own uncertainties, something that she can't help but notice. The beauty of Stoicism here lies in its ability to detach from emotional turbulence. Instead of getting caught up in her uncertainty, the Stoic man maintains his emotional composure. This becomes not only an attractive trait, but also a guiding force that subtly pulls her toward him, fostering a deeper emotional connection. Attraction is often seen as something that is built through conversation, charm, or showing effort. However, when it comes to women, the most magnetic force in a man is his emotional presence. This silent obsession is not about proving anything to her, but simply about being there, fully present, without seeking validation or acknowledgement. Emotional presence is the quality of being grounded in one's own emotions without needing to show or tell others. It's the ability to be emotionally available without trying to manipulate the situation or make the other person feel something. A man who has mastered this presence doesn't have to work hard to impress. His emotional state alone speaks volumes. In fact, women are highly attuned to emotional energy. They can feel it when a man is truly present with them, not distracted by his own insecurities or thoughts. This presence creates a deep sense of safety and connection. The absence of emotional turbulence from a man makes him more appealing because, in that calmness, women sense stability and confidence. There is something deeply alluring about a man who doesn't feel the need to dominate a conversation or display his emotions in a loud manner. He is secure in himself, and this makes him magnetic. A man who practices Stoicism understands that emotions, while important, should not control one's actions. Instead of responding impulsively to every emotional wave, a Stoic man remains centered, knowing that emotional presence comes from a place of inner peace and understanding. When this presence is felt, a woman will be drawn to it, finding comfort in the emotional steadiness he offers. A common mistake many men make in relationships is to remain constantly available, believing that availability equates to affection. However, this constant availability can lead to predictability, which is one of the most dangerous things for keeping attraction alive. Women, like men, value curiosity and intrigue, and when a man is always around, he becomes a known quantity, something that can be easily taken for granted. When a man pulls back, when he becomes genuinely unavailable for short periods, it triggers a psychological response in women. It's not about playing games, it's about creating space for curiosity and reflection. When a woman wonders if you still care, her brain works overtime, wondering whether she still holds your attention. This absence makes her value your presence more. It disrupts her equilibrium and makes her yearn for your attention again. This dynamic isn't about manipulation, but rather about respecting the natural flow of desire and attention in any relationship. A man who is always available is too predictable. In contrast, a man who knows when to pull back creates a delicate balance between connection and distance, keeping the woman's interest and emotional investment alive. From a Stoic perspective, pulling back is not about emotional games, but about maintaining your own emotional independence. A Stoic man understands that his worth doesn't depend on constant affirmation from anyone, and this sense of self-sufficiency makes him more attractive. When he takes a step back, he shows that he is complete on his own, which makes his presence all the more valuable. One of the most powerful tools a man can have in his emotional arsenal is the ability to remain calm during emotional escalations. Women, like all people, can experience emotional highs and lows. Sometimes these emotions spill over, and in these moments, they need a partner who can meet their emotional intensity with grounded calmness rather than reacting impulsively. This is where masculine energy plays a crucial role. A man who can maintain his emotional composure, especially in times of emotional turbulence, becomes a stabilizing force for the woman. Instead of feeding into the drama or trying to fix the situation, a Stoic man simply remains steady. His calmness in the face of chaos is not a sign of indifference, but of strength. Women are deeply affected by this steady presence. When they are in an emotional escalation and their partner remains calm, it has a profound effect. It doesn't just settle the situation, it also creates an emotional space where the woman feels safe to express herself fully. She may not even realize it, but in these moments, her emotional defenses begin to break down. She surrenders to the calm strength he offers. The Stoic approach to emotional calmness is not about suppressing emotions, but about understanding them without letting them control your actions. A Stoic man doesn't avoid emotions, but meets them with clarity, a quality that is incredibly attractive to women. His ability to remain unshaken in the face of emotional challenges makes him a pillar of stability and strength. Neediness is one of the least attractive qualities a man can exhibit. When a man constantly seeks validation, attention, or emotional support from a woman, it creates an imbalance in the relationship. The woman may feel responsible for his emotional well-being, which can create a sense of emotional burden. This dynamic often leads to frustration and resentment. On the other hand, when a woman senses that a man doesn't need her but wants her, everything changes. This subtle shift in dynamic is incredibly powerful. A man who is emotionally independent and secure in himself doesn't rely on his partner for validation. He doesn't need her to make him feel whole. Instead, his attention becomes a gift, something she values deeply because it isn't given out of desperation or need. When a woman feels that a man is complete on his own, her attraction to him deepens. She no longer feels the need to take care of his emotional state, and instead, she leans in, becoming more emotionally invested. This emotional shift happens naturally when a man is self-sufficient and doesn't place his emotional stability in the hands of the woman. Stoicism teaches the importance of self-reliance and emotional independence. A Stoic man understands that his worth doesn't come from external validation. When he doesn't need his partner to validate his existence, he becomes more attractive because his attention is freely given, not demanded. This makes his presence far more powerful and magnetic. In relationships, emotional dynamics are constantly shifting. One of the most important tools a man can use to keep a relationship vibrant and interesting is the art of being unavailable at the right times. This might sound counterintuitive, but constant availability breeds indifference. When a man is always present, always available, it becomes predictable, and with predictability comes complacency. A woman may stop feeling the need to make an effort because she knows that the man is always there waiting for her attention. The true power lies in knowing when to step back and create space. When a man is intentionally unavailable, he triggers a response in the woman's mind. She begins to wonder about him. She starts to ask herself if he still cares, if he is still invested. This space creates room for curiosity, and curiosity is one of the key drivers of attraction. The key here is not to manipulate or play games, but to recognize that a balance must be struck between connection and independence. A man who is always emotionally available can be draining, but one who knows when to withdraw, just enough to allow the woman to miss him, has a quiet power. His presence becomes a rare gift rather than a constant fixture. This is a delicate balance, and it's the Stoic approach that makes it work, remaining calm, composed, and intentional with when and how you invest your emotional energy. In relationships, a man who practices Stoicism knows the value of his own time and energy. He isn't desperate to fill every moment with interaction. Instead, he understands that his absence makes his presence more meaningful. Being unavailable at the right time isn't about rejection. It's about maintaining personal boundaries and valuing his own emotional space. When a woman feels this intentionality, it deepens her attraction to him. There's an undeniable magnetism in a man who respects himself. Self-respect is one of the most attractive qualities a man can possess because it speaks to his sense of worth, boundaries, and discipline. A man who respects himself cannot be easily manipulated or swayed by external pressures, and this confidence in his own values and beliefs is incredibly alluring. Self-respect, however, isn't just about setting boundaries with others. It's about setting boundaries with oneself as well. It's about having a clear sense of who you are and standing firm in your principles. When a man has this kind of self-respect, it's impossible to ignore. Women naturally gravitate towards men who are not easily shaken or manipulated. They sense that these men have a strong sense of self, and this provides a sense of stability and trust. A man who practices Stoicism embodies this self-respect through emotional control. He doesn't let his emotions dictate his actions. His decisions are grounded in a clear sense of what is right, not what feels good in the moment. This inner strength makes him attractive not just to women, but to everyone around him. He has an energy that commands respect without demanding it. And in relationships, this self-respect translates into deeper emotional connections because the man sets the tone for how he expects to be treated. Women find this form of attraction powerful because it gives them something to lean on: stability. A man who respects himself offers the promise of a relationship that is grounded in mutual respect and emotional safety. This quality isn't something that can be faked. It comes from years of personal growth, discipline, and the willingness to live by one's own standards, regardless of external pressure. The dynamic of any relationship shifts dramatically when a woman sees that a man can walk away at any time. This might seem harsh, but the underlying truth is that a man who is willing to leave a relationship or a situation not only asserts his own worth, but also changes the way he is viewed by the woman. This willingness to walk away, to remove himself from the dynamic, makes him far more valuable in her eyes. When a woman understands that a man could leave at any point, she begins to view the relationship differently. The dynamic of neediness vanishes. The man becomes someone who is not dependent on the relationship for his emotional stability, and this is the ultimate sign of strength. A man who can walk away is not emotionally attached in the same way that someone who fears rejection or abandonment is. Stoicism teaches the value of self-sufficiency and emotional independence. A Stoic man is not afraid of change or loss because he knows that his worth is not dependent on any one person or relationship. This mindset is incredibly attractive because it shows that the man is complete on his own. His presence is not a necessity for his own happiness, but a gift he chooses to share. When she sees that a man has the strength to walk away, everything shifts. No longer is he seeking validation or approval. Instead, he is confident in himself, and this confidence commands respect. It makes his attention more valuable, and as a result, his presence becomes something she deeply appreciates. The fear of losing someone who is emotionally self-sufficient triggers a strong emotional response, making the man even more attractive. At the core of every woman's emotional submission is one undeniable force: unshakable certainty. Women are often attracted to men who exude confidence and conviction in their beliefs and actions. When a man is certain about who he is and what he stands for, it creates an emotional pull that is hard to resist. This certainty is not about arrogance. It's about calm confidence that emanates from a deep understanding of oneself. A man who knows exactly what he believes, what his values are, and where he stands in life becomes a beacon of security. This certainty gives women something to lean on, a steady foundation upon which they can feel emotionally secure. From a Stoic perspective, this certainty is cultivated through self-awareness and self-mastery. A Stoic man doesn't allow external events or emotions to destabilize him. He is grounded in his own philosophy and principles, which makes him not only emotionally stable, but also highly attractive. Women feel safe with a man who doesn't waver in the face of challenges, someone who remains true to himself, no matter the circumstances. It is this unshakable certainty that creates the space for emotional submission. Women instinctively submit to a man who exudes this type of confidence because it shows that he is a leader, someone who can guide the relationship with strength and integrity. His certainty provides a sense of emotional safety and clarity that a woman finds deeply alluring. She doesn't have to question his intentions because he knows exactly what he wants and how to get it. The final shift that every man needs to make is from being chosen to becoming the standard. Most men, especially in the early stages of relationships, are conditioned to wait to be chosen, to seek validation, and to overthink their every action. This need for approval can often lead to compromising one's values and boundaries, seeking the approval of others rather than setting one's own standards. However, the true power lies in becoming the standard. A man who doesn't wait for validation but instead sets his own benchmarks in life becomes an attractive force of nature. He doesn't seek approval, he is the approval. This mindset shift changes the entire dynamic of the relationship. Rather than seeking to be chosen, he becomes the one who defines the relationship by his own terms. A man who embodies this shift is grounded in his own purpose and mission. He doesn't seek to please others at the expense of his own values. He leads by example, showing others how to treat him through the standards he sets for himself. Women find this approach magnetic because it creates a sense of certainty and stability. There's no guessing, no overthinking. He simply is who he is, and that's enough. Stoicism teaches that one should never seek validation from others, but should instead be true to oneself. A man who becomes the standard attracts people who align with his values, creating a dynamic based on mutual respect and admiration. This shift is powerful because it frees the man from the need to prove himself and allows him to focus on living a life that is true to his own standards. In conclusion, the Stoic principles explored throughout this video offer a path to reclaiming quiet, unwavering power in relationships. By mastering self-control, maintaining emotional presence, and adhering to a set of high personal standards, a man can attract the kind of attention and respect that comes from living with integrity. This is not about manipulation or games. It's about self-mastery and emotional clarity. When a man adopts these Stoic principles, he not only transforms his relationships, but also transforms himself. He becomes the kind of man who doesn't need to chase validation because he already knows his worth. This quiet strength is incredibly powerful and deeply attractive, creating a dynamic where both partners can flourish, grounded in mutual respect and emotional security. By embracing these Stoic qualities, emotional presence, self-respect, and unshakable certainty, a man can navigate relationships with quiet power, avoiding the traps of neediness and insecurity. This is the path to lasting attraction and fulfilling connections, and it all starts with mastering oneself.